Well, from what I understand, based on my conversations with the FBI director, all they know right now is this was an individual who hated people of the Mormon faith. And they are trying to understand more about this, how premeditated it was, how much planning went into it, whether he left a note. All of those questions have yet to be answered, but certainly will be answered by the FBI. I think the American people in your audience can be assured.
Karoline Leavitt, White House press secretary, on the murderous terrorist attack on a Mormon church in Michigan. At least 4 people murdered, at least 4 wounded. The police are searching, and firefighters, the rubble of the burned church for more bodies. The news media trying to blame it on the fact that the killer served in the Marine Corps 17 years ago. Must be that. Never mind the reports of the anti-Trump, anti-J.D. Vance sign in his front yard. Never mind the social media footprint. Never mind all of that. The Democrats know where they want to take it. I mean the media. They know where they want to take it. I mean the Democrats know where they want to take it. Just amazing, amazing stuff. And since Karoline Leavitt was on the Fox News channel this morning, and she said that the FBI has come to the conclusion the guy had a problem with Mormons, which is peculiar. The killer served the United States Marine Corps 2004 to 2008. He had a wife. Now he has a widow. He has a son that allegedly has a rare disease of some kind, and, grasping at straws. But I got to tell you, if you're looking for the explanation, look at the anti-Trump sign in the front yard and hatred of Mormons, which was just cited by Karoline Leavitt. Karoline Leavitt, and it's one of the things we're looking at is a government shutdown in the next tomorrow or the day after. I believe President Trump is having he's got a meeting today with congressional leadership. He's also got a meeting today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And because of the Democrat Party being violent anti-Semites like the Nazis were, like the fascists were, like Hitler was, the Secret Service had to surround the White House with the giant extra high, no-climb riot fences because Benjamin Netanyahu was going to the White House to meet with the president. And the Democrat Party is the reason for that. The violent criminal mob that attacked the White House for 3 days when Trump was in the White House the first time around set fire to another church, just like the Mormon church in Michigan yesterday was burned to the ground by a lunatic shooting up a Mormon church and murdering a bunch of people. But the Democrats set fire to St. John's Church in Washington, D.C., the historic, I believe, 1814 or 1815 Church of the Presidents that the rioters set fire to. And that was no big deal. That was glossed over. That was the idiot MS-13 DNC reporter was out front saying it's mostly peaceful while the Church of the Presidents was on fire. The only building in Lafayette Park was up in flames. The president and the first family had to be evacuated to the nuclear shelter because of the attack of the Democrats. Now the riot fences are up around the White House again because an Israeli leader is coming to visit the president, and the violent mob of Democrats have become such virulent anti-Semites. And they say, well, being anti-Zionist is not the same as being anti-Semites, And I say, I'm for the total destruction of Japan. I think Japan should be wiped out from east to west. There should be no Japan, nobody living there, no Japanese people living there. Just don't call me anti-Japanese, right? I just want Japan wiped off the face of the earth and the Japanese people, smeared out of Japan. But don't, because there's only one Japanese state. There's only one Jewish state. See the analogy that I'm making there? There it is. But Karoline Leavitt was on, and the Democrats, Schumer and the Democrats are planning on extorting, I think, $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion to keep the government open with the latest budget. And they're demanding $500 million, the low price of $500 million for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, NPR and PBS, which are Democrat Party propaganda networks and an extension of the Democrat Party at taxpayer expense, of course, because they're nothing if not Bolshevik. They're socialists. But never mind that. Karoline Leavitt, and If the government shuts down, it will be entirely on Chuck Schumer, and CNN will blame it entirely on the Republicans on Capitol Hill because our filthy, rotten, stinking news media. Oh, we had Jake Tapper lying yesterday, too. Got that coming. But Karoline Leavitt this morning on the Fox News Channel.
Let me be very clear about the president and the White House's position. All we are asking for is a common sense, clean funding resolution, a continuing resolution to keep the government open. This is a bill that keeps the government funded at the exact same levels as today, just adjusted for inflation. So there is zero good reason for the Democrats to vote against this, especially when the Democrats have voted for this 13 previous times as recently as March.
They just want to fight. You know, Hillary Clinton's saying there's only the fight. And she said in 2018 that if the Democrats win the House of Representatives and the Senate back, and then they did, that civility would return to our political discourse. She was a psychopathic liar then, and I'd have to say she's a psychopathic liar now, honestly. And the wonderful Karoline Leavitt this morning.
This is the reasonable and common sense thing to do. The president is giving Democrat leadership one last chance to be reasonable, to come to the White House today to try to talk about this. And now is not the time to try to get political points against Donald Trump. Now is the time to do right by the American people and keep the government funded. Our most vulnerable in our society and our country will be impacted by a government shutdown. Everybody knows this, and that's why Republicans and the president want to keep the government open, and we welcome Democrats to join us in that effort.
And I wish that you anti-religious bigots would stop shooting people and setting things on fire like the fascist Nazis that you are. Just saying. CNN headline today, quote, brace yourselves, end quote. Government shutdown threat deepens as Capitol Hill digs in. And this is absolutely embarrassing. This is where fake Tapper, the fanker, Jake Tapper, was speaking to the Speaker of the House, interviewing the Speaker of the House. And I got to tell you, and Jake Tapper, who's a former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, just like so many anchormen like George Snuffleupagus and others. Then he went to the White House with the Clintons, then immediately to a powerful anchor position on ABC Network News. But never mind that. Fake CNN, the fake news network CNN. President Donald Trump and congressional Republicans believe there is only one way to avert a shutdown at midnight on Tuesday. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has to change his mind. GOP leaders still need crucial votes from Schumer and his party to sign any funding bill into law. And the Democrats are going to shut it down, and then they're going to play victim, and they're going to accuse somebody else and probably firebomb some Jews because it's what they do. And now neither side is backing down. Well, the Republicans are in charge of the House and the Senate and the White House, but with just over 24 hours until a funding lapse, it's a lapse, don't you know? Schumer and his fellow congressional leaders will join Trump at the White House for a last chance meeting to stave off a shutdown. It's not clear, however, that either party is interested in a deal-making session. I love it when Jellystone Park is shut down and little Timmy and his scout troop can't get in. And the news media loves to make hay of little Timmy and his scout troop every time at Jellystone Park. They do it every time. And I heard some idiot on the news yesterday saying, oh, I remember the government shut down when the World War II memorial was shut down and World War II veterans couldn't get in. And that is a gigantic lie by liars who offer gigantic lies all the time. And I went down, my best girl and I went down on our bicycles to the World War II memorial during that shutdown. And it took twice as many government employees to shut down the outdoor World War II memorial as it takes to leave it open on any given day. And the World War II veterans that flew in and, you know, that great flights, that great organization, and they weren't allowed in. They set up barricades and barriers. I remember, what did I do? I tied something around the fence line they had put up, like a protest ribbon of some kind. And I went down there to testify to what the left was doing. And it was the communists, you know, Barack Hussein Obama, who was mentored by a communist named Frank Marshall Davis when he was a teenager, and then chose the Communist Party voter John Brennan to be the CIA director, who then abused his power to sabotage our presidential election and to sabotage Donald Trump because he's a Communist Party voter, and Barack Obama made him CIA director. What would you expect? But never mind that. So Speaker Mike Johnson, Speaker of the entire House of Representatives, signaled in an interview with CNN that Trump wants to use the meeting with congressional leaders. He's got the Democrat and Republican leaders from the House and the Senate coming to the White House today, and he's meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, and the White House is under super extra protection, double secret probation, because the Democrat Party violent mob outside is a danger to the White House, and that's perfectly normal now, and the news media treats it like it's perfectly normal. So the Democrats need to accept the Republican version of the bill without the Obamacare tax credits. Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, whose virulent anti-Semite uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, was his mentor growing up, famous anti-Semite, raising the now Democrat leader in the House of Representatives. Isn't that amazing? So Jake Tapper, again, former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, he worked for the Hill staffer, Democrat Hill staffer, whose husband was also a Democrat member of the House, and he went to prison for corruption. And the woman that Jake Tapper worked for, their son married Chelsea Clinton, because it's all a circle fest in a hot tub. But Jake Tapper yesterday talking to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and he's still doing the party's bidding.
They have to hold people accountable. We have to ensure that the rule of law applies to everyone. And that's exactly what's happening here.
Does the rule of law have to apply to people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. There's new information over the last couple of days about that as well. Apparently, there were 274 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th.
No.
I think the total number of persons
Kash Patel just brought some enhanced understanding to that. They were sent there to do crowd control because of everything that was going on. It wasn't a false flag operation, as President Trump suggested.
Well, Jake, wait a minute. Hold on, Jake. How do you know that, right? There's a lot
of
questions,
what Kash Patel
brand new questions about, well, and I'm telling you that there's videos, and it's always been disputed what involvement some of those persons, engaged in, what involvement they had.
Now, Jake Tapper just changed the subject to January 6th out of, wait a minute, hey, it was could be a government shutdown, and there are riots, and you guys are attacking ICE all over the country, and there are funerals and court cases because of all the Democrat Party violence, and a church, the ruins of a church in Michigan still smoldering because of the guy with the I hate Trump sign in his front yard. And I'm sorry, January 6th? I'd like to ask him if he knows the name of the woman that was shot and killed that day by the police, because I'll bet you $1 right now that he does not know the name of that person. Isn't that amazing? Man, oh, Manischewitz. I had to tell you, there was a story, it's in front of me here, that I don't mean to make fun of a murder, but it is Washington, D.C., and there are a lot of Democrats here. The headline is, Man Stabbed in Glover Park Apartment in Northwest Washington. Not too far from this, about 2 miles from this radio station in town. And a man was found stabbed in an apartment in the Glover Park neighborhood of Northwest Washington late Sunday afternoon. And I read through this, police officers responding, and police found a man with stab wounds, still conscious, and the ambulance took him to a trauma center where he did not fare very well. But this was my favorite part, because I was reading it to Michael Piercy this morning. Police said the suspect was a man, you might expect it's a man, wearing a black shirt and black slacks. That means pants. Armed with a knife. And I looked at me and I said, wait, I'm wearing black jeans and a black shirt myself. If I got a knife, I might be the suspect. Now, who are we looking for? We're looking for a man. All right, fair enough. With a black shirt and black slacks. I'll call them pants. Either word is pretty funny, though. Slacks or pants. Pretty funny. Armed with a knife. Do you think he still has the knife in his hand? He's walking around with his arm up in the air, his hand over his head with a knife, and then, hey, wait a minute, there's a man with a black shirt and black slacks armed with a knife. Now, we don't know if he's an Irish guy with red hair, if he's 3.5 feet tall, he's a little person. Don't know if he's 6'8", just black pants and a black shirt, armed with a knife, which, if he puts it down, he's going to throw off the whole description. Wait a minute, he put the knife down. Nobody can recognize him now. Nice description. What do you think the real description of the man is? I don't know, but they're not going to find. He could change his shirt, and then that'd be it. The police would never find him. All right, let us go back to the telephones, Michael. Keep your eyes peeled if you're in Washington for a man wearing black pants and a black shirt. I'm wearing black jeans, and a black T-shirt, I don't have a knife clutched in my hand, raised over my head at the moment, but the killer probably doesn't either. All right, let's go to Dan, calling from Manassas, Virginia, driving on the Great American Roadways. Daniel, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for letting me get my time in here, Chris.
You bet. That's why we're here, man.
Well, in all the years, I'm 70 years old. In all the years that I've been around, I never saw a government shutdown impact the poor. No Medicaid, no Social Security, no payments out. Obligations of the federal government are obligations. They get paid. I don't understand this thing where you have to add $1 trillion to the budget just to be able to pay the illegal people that are here. I don't get it.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to ask a question. Dan, are you a Democrat?
No, sir.
Well, see, if you're a Democrat, then you'd get it. Then it'd be, well, of course, we got to pay the illegal alien gang members to continue to pillage and plunder the United States of America, because that shows that Democrats are good people.
Well, good people have good intentions in the wrong direction.
Yeah, these people, you're being too generous there, too. But I know what you're getting at.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ex-military. I work for the federal government. I've been in this area for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing stuff. Kind of makes you angry.
Yeah, well,
just a little bit.
The left is here, Dan. This is not the Democrat Party of yesterday. Even RFK Jr. said that his father and his uncle would find the Democrat Party unrecognizable today, and so do I. I've got an acute BS meter, and we were just listening to Fake Tapper, the fanker at CNN, the fake anchor, the fake journalist Jake Tapper, again former Democrat, Capitol Hill staffer, close ties to the Clinton family, and he was interviewing the Speaker of the House, and I wish I were the Speaker of the House. I don't really, but I'd like to be able to jump in from time to time and speak, because I don't know, I speak reasonably well, I think. But there are headlines all over the place, including Fox. FBI's Patel, that's FBI Director Kash Patel, FBI's Patel clarifies role of hundreds of agents on January 6th, says Wray, FBI Director Christopher Wray, lied to Congress. Now, the current FBI Director, Kash Patel, said the agents were sent to the U.S. Capitol for, quote, crowd control, end quote. Now, that is not a whole sentence. You always have to be suspicious when they have two words in quotation marks or one word. But listen to this. After it had been declared a riot, and we played, but let me play this for you again. Fake Tapper and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, because Jake and Kash Patel, and I'm going to say this, Kash Patel has not impressed me at all as FBI Director. I am extremely under-dazzled, not even impressed mildly by Kash Patel's, and I met him only once. We at a Christmas party and at somebody's house, and met him briefly, and he was very much in demand, and I don't really do that sort of thing, but seems like a perfectly fine guy and everything. But as FBI director, I'm not impressed. I don't think that the FBI is kicking butt under Kash Patel. And now the Speaker of the House was speaking to Fake Tapper yesterday on some CNN show that nobody watches, and they're saying, oh well, Kash Patel said that the 274 FBI agents were sent to Capitol Hill on January 6th, all those years ago, to do crowd control. I'm sorry, what? What is that? Kash Patel told Fox News Digital, he said, agents were sent into a crowd control mission, after the riot was declared by Metro Police. The Metro Police are the police that do the subways here in Washington. He's probably trying to refer to the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, which is the actual city police department. But he doesn't know that, and I'm not impressed again. Agents were sent into a crowd control mission after the riot was declared by Metro Police, meaning the Metropolitan Police, which is different from the Metro Police, something that goes against FBI standards. And that's what Kash Patel, something that goes against FBI standards, to send 274 FBI agents into what had been declared a riot. And here's the exchange yesterday on CNN with Fake Tapper.
Apparently there were 274 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th.
No.
I think the total number of persons
Kash Patel just brought some enhanced understanding to that. They were sent there to do crowd control because of everything that was going on. It wasn't a false flag operation, as President Trump suggested.
Now, the making headlines all over the world, the Daily Mail. Kash Patel contradicts Trump as he reveals, not claims, but reveals, truth, and that's in all caps, truth, about the 274 FBI agents at Capitol on January 6th. Now, I still got a few friends in town and a few teeth in my head, to borrow a line from the movie Chinatown. But talking to a federal law enforcement officer, here's the first question that came up with him, and that is, I'm sorry, you sent 274 people into a riot to do crowd control in plain clothes, not identified as law enforcement, some of them wearing motorcycle helmets and masks, and I thought the Democrats didn't like masks. And there's video of what appears to be one of the FBI agents dressed in all black with a motorcycle helmet on, in handcuffs, with his hands cuffed behind his back. I'm putting my hands behind my back in my chair like I'm handcuffed behind my back. With his hands cuffed behind his back, dressed in all black with a motorcycle helmet on, not easily identified by videotape, being escorted inside the Capitol by a U.S. Capitol police officer. The moment they got inside the door, police officer pulled out his handcuff keys, took off the handcuffs, and the man who had been in handcuffs moments earlier then did a knuck bump, a fist bump, with another plainclothes guy standing next to him. Now, you can shove it, Jake Tapper, and I got to say, Kash Patel, do a better job. Remove your head from your dark and remote location. Don't go to Fox News Digital or anybody else and say, oh yeah, I've got a totally different story to tell you now, with no context and a one-sentence summary. Oh, those 274, and then Fox News Digital, they don't know enough to say, I'm sorry, you sent 274 plainclothes FBI agents into a riot, and their role was crowd control? So you got, and they're not wearing matching clothes. They're not all wearing the same shirts or jackets or motorcycle helmets or anything. And now the headlines are, Kash Patel contradicts Trump. And if I'm Trump, if I'm in the Oval Office with Trump today, I'm going to say that Kash Patel deserves a good whooping in the Oval Office here, because that's Daily Mail. Kash Patel contradicts Trump. Newsweek magazine. Kash Patel contradicts Donald Trump claim about FBI on January 6th. Kash Patel, another headline, The Independent. Kash Patel denies Trump rant that FBI agents incited January 6 riots. And then, quote, crowd control mission And that's the only thing they have in quotes, crowd control mission. Oh, 275 plainclothes federal agents were sent in to do crowd control, all wearing 274 different outfits, and their plainclothes and their federal agents. And the Democrats, they hate it when ICE agents show up and they don't have blimps overhead with arrows pointing down to them, illuminated arrows saying federal agents on ICE raids. But here come 274 plainclothes FBI agents, and now we're told years later that they were only there to do crowd control. And I've never been stupid enough to believe anything that ridiculous. That's like satire, honestly. And Kash Patel, get the hell in front of a camera and straighten this stuff out. And if I'm President Trump, I'm going to have Kash Patel on the phone. I might have him in the Oval Office, and I got to tell you, this is the dumbest thing the most ridiculous claim that I've ever. So they were sent there for crowd control. Why were they undercover? Has anybody ever heard of undercover crowd control? All in plain clothes? Why didn't they have FBI markings on them? Why didn't they have FBI shields if they're doing crowd control? FBI helmets, FBI body armor. It's a riot. They're there to do crowd control. That's a lie. Or let me just say, it's wrong. That's not true. They weren't sent there in plain clothes to do crowd control. And only an idiot would believe that that's true. Just saying. So I got that going for me. Yes, sir. Man, oh, man. Okay. What do we have? We don't have another more audio on that one, do we? No, we don't. How could we? Because Kash Patel talked to Fox News Digital and rolled a hand grenade down the hall and blew it up. Oh, yeah, everything. And first of all, we didn't even know. It took years to find out that there were hundreds of FBI agents in the crowd that day. And then the FBI director, who's supposed to be on the side of America, says, oh, yeah, they were just sent there for crowd. What? Changing the narrative and making up a new version of events after it took years to get to the fact that there were hundreds of FBI men in the crowd. What were they doing there? We posted that video last week, didn't we, of the guy with the helmet and the handcuffs? We did. We posted it on our social media last week, and Thursday or Friday, I think, and along with related news, another story on that. And it took years to find out there were FBI there. And then Kash Patel himself comes out and says, oh, they were just there for crowd control in plain clothes. That makes sense.
Okay, folks, spread the word. As soon as the president's done speaking, we go to the Capitol. The Capitol's this direction.
That's Ray Epps. Remember, he was on the FBI payroll, and he's telling people this direction. We're going into the Capitol. Going into the Capitol. He's got a bullhorn. And he had this long-term relationship with the FBI. And Kash Patel, I got to tell you, I don't want to say, Kash Patel, you're fired. But this was a boneheaded thing to say and then to just leave it at that. Oh, yeah, there's what do you think, you're defending the FBI? That'll somehow make it better? And all the headlines, the Times of India, quote, crowd control mission, and it's, end quote, and it's the same words every time. Oh, he contradicts Trump. Trump said something that's not like this. Just ridiculous. I've got to tell you. Got to tell you, as the Democrats are inciting violence everywhere. And in fact, yeah, I mentioned this earlier, but I didn't quite get to it. The White House put out a statement on social media, once again, which isn't social. Deadly assault on an ICE field office in Dallas, Texas, now being tied to years of inflammatory rhetoric by top Democrat officials in the Democrat Party. Perhaps you've heard of them. And I got to tell you, it's obvious, and the Republicans still don't know how to message or make a case for anything. President Trump gets huge points for all that he's done. But listen to this from the White House. Officials say gunmen with anti-ICE ammunition specifically targeted federal agents in a politically motivated attack. The administration points to a staggering 1,000% surge in assaults on ICE personnel, arguing that the escalation mirrors the language of elected leaders. And that, sometimes you say it couldn't be further from the truth. In this case, couldn't be closer to the truth. From calling agents, ICE agents, Gestapo and slave patrols. Now, which Democrat member of Congress was that? Jasmine Crockett. Slave patrol, because slavery, they really love slavery. They are the party of slavery, by the way, the Democrat Party. But from calling agents Gestapo to slave patrols, the White House warns that these labels have crossed into dangerous incitement. And then they tick off a bunch of Democrat elected officials and the language that they've used, like Governor Tim Walz, who's being reelected to another term as governor of Minnesota.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
Gazpacho. He meant to say gazpacho. It's a spicy Spanish soup. It's very delicious. Governor Tim Walz smeared ICE agents as modern-day, they wrote it as Gestapo here, but he can't pronounce Gestapo. It's a spicy gazpacho soup. Governor Gavin Newsom, California, likened ICE to the secret police, calling them authoritarian, proclaiming that you have a right to push back, inciting violence against ICE, and then the violence happened. Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker, who inherited billions from his grandfather, claimed that the country is becoming Nazi Germany because ICE is grabbing people off the street and disappearing them. That's what he said. And Congressman, Democrat Robin Kelly smeared ICE as Gestapo and as a betrayal. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett compared ICE to slave patrols. Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia referred to ICE agents as thugs. Representative Delia Ramirez attacked ICE as a terrorist force. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal called ICE deranged and accused them of kidnapping and said resistance to ICE is inspiring. Resistance. They're communists. They want a shooting war in the streets. Representative Rashida Tlaib, a jihadi and a communist, said ICE is terrorizing our communities and turning our country into a fascist police state. I think you get what's going on. And called it a rogue agency. Ayanna Pressley, lunatic, said ICE is terrorizing our communities. They love that. Representative Max Frost, not of Max Frost and the troopers, compared ICE agents to some of the worst horrors and crimes against humanity in all of human history. Worse than Nazis. Congressman John Larson said ICE is the SS and the Gestapo. I'd like to hand him over to the actual Gestapo, like that Twilight Zone movie, that would be where they jump through. You get the racist and travel them through history. And Congresswoman LaMonica MacGyver, LaMonica is not a name, incited people to shut down the city because we are at war. That's what she said. We are at war. The Democrat Party brought us the first American Civil War. Congressman Stephen Lynch, might be a woman, smeared ICE agents as the Gestapo and, naturally, nondescript thugs. Nondescript, that's pretty insulting, nondescript. Congressman Dan Goldman compared the federal agents to the secret police who must be unmasked. And Becca Ballant, or whatever her name is, called ICE agents vigilantes who can't be trusted. Ilhan Omar, just listen to the rogues gallery of members of Congress that they have, said that ICE agents are vile and beyond cruel, and they should be abolished, want to abolish law enforcement. You guys take California, we'll give it to you. You abolish all law enforcement, and we'll just stay out, and you can have it, all right? That's good, because we got that. Representative Nikki Budinsky, that's right, it's Budzinski, but Budinsky's better, called ICE dangerous and reckless. Bernie Sanders said, figure out a way to stop ICE from what they're doing as soon as possible. Elizabeth Warren said that ICE is intentionally stoking fear. No, that's you guys that are doing that. Tearing communities apart. You guys should stop shooting everybody. Hakeem Jeffries, an Islamist, anti-Semite, communist, implored people to fight the Trump administration in the streets. And he declared that ICE agents will be unsuccessful in protecting their identities, no matter what it takes. The Democrat Party, the Confederate States of America, the Democrats.
We are at war, and damn it, shut down the Senate. We are at war.
Now, we were talking earlier about the stabbing. A man stabbed to death not too far from this radio station in an apartment in Northwest Washington, the Glover Park neighborhood. And it was yesterday. And the police, well, let me say that Channel 7, the ABC station in Washington, did a story on it. And they said that police said the suspect was a man, not a woman or a transgender, wearing a black shirt. And then Michael Pearson, I looked at me, and I'm wearing a black T-shirt. And black slacks. I'm not wearing black slacks, but they're black jeans. They might refer to these as slacks, for a police lookout, B-O-L-O, be on the lookout. Armed with a knife. But the guy probably put the knife down long after the murder. And a friend sent me this clip from The Simpsons.
This is Papa Bear. Put out an APB for a male suspect driving a car of some sort, heading in the direction of a place that sells chili. Suspect is hatless. Repeat, hatless.
Hatless, there's the police description because they were raiding a house, and they were the police, and they raided the wrong house, but then this car came speeding out of the garage of the house next door and raced away, so the police officer said, be on the lookout for a man driving a car of some kind, couldn't tell what kind, and he's hatless, and that's about as good as that's a satire of a police description. And today in the news we have they're looking for a man wearing a black shirt and black slacks, armed with a knife, probably not in his hand, probably not holding his hand up over his head with a big dagger, and a black shirt and black slacks. That was yesterday. So really at this point, just be on the lookout for a man. They're looking for a man. No race, no height, no age, no hair color, just a man. Yesterday he was wearing black.